nobody's broken the vow of fart silence on a podcast yet. So we'll see.
I'll try not to be the first. Okay.
I mean, we'll have to have a party then. Anyway, welcome back to Button Mashers, the podcast where we nerd out about video games. There's my foot there in between the couches. I'm going to hide that. You don't want to see that. Mm-mm. I'm Chris, and with me is my lovely friend Mike.
Hey.
With a cool beanie and sweet glasses.
Oh, thanks.
You know, sporting that nerdwear from nerdwear.com. That's not a real thing.
No, these are actually government glasses.
Oh, darn. We're sponsored by the United States government. Go to usglasses.com/buttonmashers and get 10% off of
10% off of your free government glasses.
Your free government glasses.
What's 10% off of free?
Still free.
Yeah.
So
cheaper than...
Yeah. And you also get to show support for the show. That's not a real sponsor. # not an ad.
No.
Anyway, we're going to start with some housekeeping right now. So we're back on a new set. As you can see.
Look at this. There's so much work that went into
Connor
this.
is dead.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Connor was the guy who hosted the show with me before.
Yeah,
he came along. He'll still be here.
Rotation
we'll rotate around because schedules are tough.
It's like divorced parents in custody.
If you even once looked at the upload schedule on the YouTube channel, you've known we're bad at scheduling stuff. So hopefully now we'll be able to rotate better and do more stuff. You also see these nice empty chairs in the video version of the thing.
They're so empty.
YouTube.com/GameOfDorks.
When are we going to get more people for it?
When more people care about the show.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully let's make it good. Anyway, oh yeah, see, what's funny? I didn't even look at that, and I wrote that in the thing. New set, exciting, doesn't mean the show will be good, so don't get your hopes up.
There you go.
That should be the slogan of the show. Don't get your hopes up.
You planned ahead.
Alrighty. So
also just wanted to mention real quick that it is Pearl Harbor Day, so that's pretty interesting.
Is there like a thing you're supposed to say on Pearl Harbor Day, or like
no,
like
you're just supposed to, I don't know, have a moment of silence in your head or something. I have no idea, man. It happened a long time ago.
All right, if you're listening or watching, pause it, take a moment of silence, and then come back.
Yeah.
Do it right now.
Yeah, well, unless you're listening to it not on Pearl Harbor Day, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, then you either know if you're a good or bad person.
Okay.
I'm obviously the bad one because I had no idea.
Clearly.
Anyway, lots of things are happening in video games.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna put this paper down so it doesn't look like I'm just reading. But actually, we're getting to the first story, so I should be reading.
I got it right here. You can read it right here.
I'm just making sure
we
that
don't
my
have
mic isn't backwards like last time.
Paper crumpling all over the place.
Welcome to some paper ASMR. All right.
Are you feeling good yet?
So we have the story on the computer here. So this is a story about Shadow of War from Kotaku.
Oh, yeah.
So I should let my co-host join in on the conversation. Do you want to read some select quotes?
So I took a look at this article and honestly don't understand what's happening. Like, I liked Shadow of Mordor a lot. So the Kotaku article says, quote, 5 of my orcs died in Shadow of War yesterday. I callously dropped them one by one into the game's new online fight pits, and they didn't make it out. You have no control over your orc during these fights unless crossing your fingers counts as control. You must simply hope that this skill level and his strength and weaknesses will be sufficient to overcome those. Oh yeah, hold on.
It's
Can we
fine.
restart that segment?
No, we'll just plow through. That's what we do on this show.
No, I'm sorry.
Barrel through.
Somebody try to call me. And
It's fine.
busy. Okay. So anyways, end quote. Basically, like, my understanding of it is that it's just a mess.
It really is. It's this is basically like the AAA version of like those browser games where you like
Yeah.
are a werewolf, and then you fight other werewolves, and then like when you fight, it just gives you a text adventure breakdown of the fight, and then tells you lost or you won. Here's a reward.
Yeah, and you have no control over it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I messed around with Clash of Clans a little bit a while back just because it was something to do on my iPad, and
Yeah.
like you don't. I was very upset. You don't have any control. You spent all that time and effort building the base, raising the troops. You know, like,
Mhm.
and when you go to fight something, you have no control over it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the frustrating thing about Clash of Clans is that in the competitive scene, to be good, you have to just continuously pour money into that thing. And here's the thing that baffles me is that AAA development teams look at mobile as an inspiration to what they could do, another warning of what they shouldn't do, because like I don't know, like, do you not see how different the mobile games audience is versus like the console games audience? It's just like very clear to me that that in the space of PC gaming and console gaming, you can't just start introducing these money grubbing concepts because these people are a lot more involved. It's basically like trying to do like a middle school lunch system where you have to grab healthy food in college. People are going to be like, but I want to be able to choose what I eat. I'm old now. Like, you can't, those are different crowds.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's interesting that we're starting. I mean, not just starting. We've been seeing a lot of this um, mobile game adaptation of like different things that mobile games do being put into full-fledged AAA titles. And like the thing about that is like mobile games are made to be played when you're bored taking a crap. I mean, like they're not,
Right.
you know, hardcore. I'm sitting down for the evening and trying to feel accomplished in this certain way. They're for like very short-term small gratifications while you're bored doing something out and about. I know a lot of people actually do play them regularly now, but they're just not. So trying to implement certain systems that work in these mobile games. I mean, like we're gonna get to it in a minute, but like loot crates, for instance, like those microtransactions, that all started with the mobile game scene.
Right. And League of Legends.
I just don't like that the AAA game industry now has decided, hey, we are going to try every single way to nickel and dime our customers.
Totally. It's like sure, like you could make the argument that like isn't that what like arcades used to be, but like it's like even more muddying the waters now because like when I drop a coin into a machine somewhere, like I know there's one of 5 things I'll be getting versus when I drop $2 into a loot box. And like this is sort of I think like my big thing that I think a lot of people have been missing is like the value of the loot in the box doesn't nearly equal what you could be getting in like other real life chance systems. Like I know what I'm paying for with a quarter in an arcade. I know there's one of 5 possible outcomes when I drop a quarter into like a toy machine that gives me one at random. They're all characters. They're all like the same amount of value, quote unquote. They're not like if I go to a Batman like gumball machine type thing and I know I can get either Batman or Superman or like a couple other DC characters, those are all character models.
Yeah.
They're not hats.
But I mean, like what I like my thing with it too is you know, they have these like false rarities to some of these loot boxes and stuff like that, and it's like you're chasing something that literally costs the company that is giving it to you no extra money because it's all there. It is all just random chance.
It's a skin.
But like when if you look at like booster packs for like Magic the Gathering or something like that, yeah, it's kind of the same idea, but the thing is that it's tangible and only a certain number of those cards were printed.
And also, they're all cards.
Yeah.
You don't open a pack of Magic the Gathering and get a skin for a card or like a plastic cover sheet for a card. Like, you see what I'm saying? They're all cards. Sure, some of them are more rare, but like you're guaranteed cards, whereas in a loot box you're guaranteed like voice lines. Like the base value of the lowest common denominator that you're gonna get is much lower in a loot box than in a pack of cards. There's also like the aspect of collecting in a pack of cards.
Yeah.
Like, I used to really be into Pokemon cards as a kid.
Of course.
I never battled anyone once. It was all about like being like, how many cards do you have? Oh, you have the Pikachu. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, it was about that. And a lot more than it was about like beating somebody and like, or like showing off. I mean, I guess the showing off aspect was in it, but it was, I don't know. It just feels like the value of a loot box, the base value, like the worst prize in a loot box is way, way worse than the worst prize in a pack of cards or a gumball machine.
So I just want to point this out too with like loot boxes, because we're gonna get into more of like a huge controversy that happened recently later. But so I've been playing Call of Duty World War II because you know, I'm a sucker. I really have been waiting for a World War II shooter on this generation of consoles, and I'm happy to see one. But the loot crates are a freaking scam. I mean, you go in, you have emotes, you have character emotes, which do not matter at all.
Victory poses,
But,
right?
But here's the real shitty part about it. They have literally the same character animations for different emotes that just have different titles and little ways that the emotes come out. So it's like a high five is the same as a hell yeah kind of thing, and it just
has like different text,
just different text at the bottom of the screen that nobody reads. And what makes it worse too is that the same animations show up in different rarities. I've had an animation that shows up as a rare in the box and comes down with the same animation as a common. And what I find very like how gross that is because it's just to pad the loot table so that more crap that people don't actually want comes out of those boxes, so that the guns and the more sought after prizes from those stay in, and you have to buy more and more.
Totally.
But I do have to also say that Call of Duty World War II is pretty generous at giving you loot boxes. I've unlocked way much stuff, and I haven't spent any money on that.
And so since we're talking about the amount of stuff you can do in Call of Duty with the loot, we should, I guess, move on to our next story, which is that Destiny Curse of Osiris came out, and people are not happy because Destiny has locked stuff behind the DLC paywalls.
Pretty much, yeah.
Basically, this is another article from Kotaku. By the way, if you like following game news, Kotaku, excellent website.
Oh yeah.
Read them every once.
I don't think that's new news.
I know.
People know Kotaku.
Listen, I wanna throw into the Kotaku is great pile because it's true.
I agree.
If you're cynical about giant corporations in video game news, Kotaku is one of the best ones.
Oh, if we're doing that too, I also suggest checking out Jim Sterling's channel.
Yeah.
The jimquisition.com or
Absolutely.
Jim Sterling, because he is just fantastic.
Yeah. Gotta love him.
Stardust.
Anyway, so what's happening with Curse of Osiris? I'm gonna read some excerpts of this article. Is Curse of Osiris raises the caps on Destiny 2 character and power levels. It raises the requirements for endgame activities across the board, like the raid and Nightfall Strike. Whereas in vanilla Destiny 2, the tougher prestige versions of both the raid and Nightfall asked you to have a minimum power level of 300, they now want you to be 330. The problem here is that if you don't have Curse of Osiris, you're capped at 305 power. And you can't actually enter those activities until you buy the expansion. Here's the kicker, and this is what grinds my gears as
pretty bad.
As Family Guy would like to overuse that meme. If you can't beat the Prestige Raid or Prestige Nightfall, you can't get one of the game's achievements called the Prestige, which means you can't get a Destiny 2 Platinum Trophy without the DLC.
Yikes. So they did this in Destiny 1. This isn't a new thing. When they upgraded the when the first expansion came out for Destiny 1, the same kind of thing happened. In terms of like everything in the system was bumped up a peg in terms of like what you needed to have to get into stuff, so your gear check was a lot higher. But bringing it back now, it's good to bring this kind of shenanigans up, because it's never okay, especially when you're gonna lock a trophy behind it. Like I would find it okay if like the Prestige Nightfall, I know, because I still don't have that trophy. I was like, that's one of the only 3 trophies I need in Destiny 2.
Hey, guess what? Those government glasses, you're gonna have to return one of those lenses.
Yeah, so I can pay for it.
If you want it back, it's gonna be another $20.
Yeah, and well, that's a good metaphor. But I don't know. So the big issue here is that this kind of move is okay in an MMO, and we've been calling Destiny 2 an MMO for a long time, but Bungie, doesn't want to call it an MMO, and we don't really even want to call it an MMO because it isn't, but they don't want it. They marketed it for Destiny 1 as an MMO. And
it's just like, it's so simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple to fix this. Rocket League does this really well. If you grab the Platinum in Rocket League and don't have the DLC, it still says you have the Platinum, and it just doesn't give you next to it. You just don't have the 100%.
Oh, well, no. This isn't gonna take the Platinum away from anybody. It just doesn't let people who only own the base game earn that trophy, which is really crappy.
That's what I'm saying, is like in Rocket League, you can earn the Platinum without getting the DLC trophies. You just won't have the 100% bar next to your Platinum when people check it out.
Well, because usually, I know what you're saying, because usually what they do on PlayStation is that you have your main game for the 100% thing, and that's where the Platinum trophy comes in. And whenever you have like DLC or expansions, they have individual new trophy lists for them. So this kind of is still on the list for the original Platinum of the vanilla game, but should actually be in
its own list.
Yeah, it should be on the new Curse of Osiris list.
Oh, that's the worst.
It's frustrating, because that, again, like I said, was like one of the 3 I needed.
It's just like you're taking skill out of a game. This is like the trophy quote. Like, this makes me feel as angry as like when like I don't know if you remember, like for a while a couple games tried a loot system, like a couple like free to play mobile knockoff games tried a loot system where you rent gear, you don't own it.
Oh my god.
So like you don't buy a gun, you rent it from the store, and then you literally have a timer that you can extend with in-game currency that you can buy. And like that's basically like where we're like where everything is going, is like, hey, let's somehow limit the amount of joy that can come from this, so that once people get hooked and they want more, they have to pay up.
But I think I wouldn't really I wouldn't use that as like an equivalent to what's going on here right now, but you kind of what I would say,
it's just like you take it back.
Yeah.
You give him the content, you give him the loot, you give him the whatever, and then you go, hey, you didn't get the Platinum? Well, we're raising the prices.
Because here's the thing, though, is like in World of Warcraft, Burning Crusade had like heroic stuff. Well, let's go with Wrath of the Lich King, because Wrath of the Lich King was the best expansion ever. But so you have your heroic dungeons, right? So when Cataclysm came out, you could still go back and do those heroic dungeons. You could even do all of that crap. If you didn't buy Cataclysm, you could still do that and complete it. But now, instead of having separate prestige ones, you should have like a 305 prestige nightfall and a 330 prestige nightfall. That's where I'm kind of landing on this. There should be one for each.
Just make a harder one.
Gear checking. Yeah.
Double prestige.
Yeah.
That's a stupid name. Don't do that. But like, that's all you need to do is just make it a little bit harder.
Just have prestige. You literally just click on it and have it say, okay, well, here's prestige 305 and prestige 330. You choose which one, and obviously you have to have the gear to make the selection. So
Listen, we're getting carried away here. We're like suggesting that DLC needs to add more content. Like,
I'm
we
not.
need
No,
to
I'm
calm
not.
down.
No, oh my god, yeah, no. God forbid they added new content.
Yeah.
Destiny 2 was boring and recycled anyways. I had enough of that.
I feel like a lot of people, once that initial charm of playing through it has worn off, and a lot of people are now looking back at it like, was it that good, or did I just have rose tinted glasses? And some people still love it, and good for you. But like, hey, like, I just don't understand it. Like, a lot of these things seem like simple, like easy to see solutions. Like the thing that frustrates me is like I'll bet you $100 that there's a developer somewhere for Shadow of War, and like there's people for Shadow of War and there's people for Destiny going, hey, I don't want to say I told you so, but like I brought it up at 3 meetings that this could be a problem.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're probably banging their head against their computer being like, nobody listens to me.
Yeah,
like it's just like, it seems so easy to fix this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want that quarter, man.
That's gonna transition pretty well into the next conversation about DICE and EA, but
Next page.
yeah, I don't know, like Destiny 2 for that matter. You had a good you started it and you could reach the level cap so quickly, but once you reach the level cap, there's really nothing to do because there's no. And so you go do that. However, while trying to do that, you are stuck behind. The only way to upgrade things is by the fact that they give you weekly powerful engrams instead of, so
God.
the only way to get upgraded gear once you get to a certain point is through those things
Mhm.
because you can't get a 300 drop period unless you're like doing the raid all the time.
Right.
And you can, it's very frustrating.
And like, to be clear, sorry, were you gonna?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, so like my hunter, for instance, like she was at 300. I was like, okay, let's well, she was at like 299 base, so like 304 actual power level, and I was like, okay, let's get this going. Let's get this to 305 this week. I only need one piece of gear, and it's my hunter's mark. I need one piece of gear. I grinded. I got every single powerful engram I could, which was almost all of them.
Mhm.
And still, like, I even got the guild, or the guild ones, the clan ones, whatever the hell it
Wow.
was, and didn't get it. So there's no like actual. I just didn't feel like I was working for gear. I was working for
The chance.
yeah. But I mean, again, that's kind of like World of
Right.
Warcraft. But in certain aspects, I feel like World of Warcraft was
Mhm.
it took more effort and skill to do
Right.
that stuff. So
Just the differential between skill and chance was on a totally different level.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring up Rocket League here again because theoretically you could make the case that in Rocket League you are rewarded with chests that you don't have to buy keys for.
oh god.
But number one, you don't always get a chest. Sometimes you just straight up get stuff. It's not going to be rare stuff, but you get stuff, so you have customizability. Also, B, there is a straight up store where you can just buy a couple cars if you like that look really
Are you
sweet.
using real world money?
Real world, yeah, you are.
See, but yeah, that's the thing that's cool. It's like you can straight up buy what car you want to buy.
Yeah.
It's not like
It's like,
buying
hey,
a
here's
crate.
$2 and you get a car that has its and here's the cool thing is you can't win that car.
Mhm.
So if I buy a car that comes with, like, if you buy the Batmobile that comes with its own goal sound, it comes with its own nitro boost, with its own like everything is custom made with that car, and only the people who buy that can use that. You can't win it. So what's great about that is it's literally just DLC. And but my favorite part about Rocket League is there is like when you're in the main menu of the game, there is like a news thing, like, hey, check out this stream or this tournament. Nowhere in there is there like, hey, this new thing is here. Go buy some keys.
So
Like they don't shove it down your throat. There's like never is there the shadow of war like orc guy rubbing his hands, being like, yeah, you can buy some.
So
If you want, that option is there. And if you don't want to do it, what you can do is you can just grab the chests that you've unopened and trade them with other players for like stuff that they have that you want.
yeah.
So like there's a way to do it without spending money, and the game isn't like always like elbowing your shoulder like, hey, you could spend money if you wanted, and then they back off like, but you don't have to. Like Rocket League is just like, hey, it's here, and then they never mention it again.
I think if you want to look at, well, first off, I can't stand the whole like Steam started that bullshit where there's just like, yeah, we're gonna give you some crates, but you have to buy the keys to do it. That's like a tantalizing pain in the ass, right? Like that is absolutely obnoxious. But the thing, I'd say the best game for microtransactions, period, is Warframe. You can buy things. It does not feel like pay to win. It just works.
All cosmetic.
Everything is fair. No, you can buy frames and weapons and stuff like that, but it's cooperative game. So
right.
But like everything, almost everything on that store is obtainable through gameplay. So you can, and that's another thing too. Is like I really like games. Everything that's not cosmetic is obtainable through gameplay in that game. So anything that you see on that store that is not a cosmetic upgrade is available to you through just playing the game. It's just going to take a long time, but at the same time, the game is a lot of fun. I don't see why you wouldn't put time into it.
Yeah, it just comes down to the idea of earning versus grinding your stuff.
Yeah,
like, and it's like it reminds me another thing in Rocket League is like you can't buy a crate. You have to earn it through winning a match.
Yeah, but
and you don't always get it. Sure, you have to buy a key, and that key gives you a roll at stuff, and there's different rarities of crates, but it's all cosmetic, and like there's like skill tied to it. Again, you have to win a match, and the keys aren't like incredibly pricey, and if you have some rare stuff, like you can trade keys. So if you theoretically you could just buy a couple keys, spend a like very low amounts of money, and then just keep trading stuff and doing more stuff, and it like sure, and like there's always a ceiling in any microtransaction system where it's like I'm probably gonna have to spend money, otherwise it's a bit of a grind. To me, the difference between a good and a bad system is how high that ceiling is and how much you can do without spending money. And in games like Rocket League and like you're mentioning Warframe, there seems to be a lot of flexibility before you spend money. And I'm totally okay with spending money if you give me that flexibility and options and different ways of doing things. And if your price structure is reasonable, like keys in Rocket League are like a couple bucks. It's really not.
Yeah, but if you look at like a couple bucks over a period of time for all the crates you're gonna have to try and unlock, that's a lot of bucks.
Totally,
a lot of bucks.
But none of that affects gameplay. It's just cosmetics, and like I'm still not a fan.
I don't like the whole it's just cosmetics things. But Rocket League is free, first place. Like my biggest issue is if you have to pay $60 for a game, you shouldn't have to nickel and dime everything else.
Right. So that's fair. And Rocket League is I think 30 or sometimes 20 when it's on sale.
Oh, you have to pay for Rocket League?
Yeah, Rocket League is not free.
Oh, then it should not have loot crates. Period.
Right.
I do not like that, and that is horrible. The thing, I mean, screw it. I mean, yeah, it's only cosmetics, but still, it's a pain in the ass.
It's a pain in the ass, but to me, like
Warframe's free.
Right. I guess I don't mind it in Rocket League because it doesn't shove it down my throat. Um, it's one of those things again where you can unlock things just by playing, and sure it's not everything, but if I just like playing that game, and there's still a ton of customization that's free, then I can just do that, and I don't know. It doesn't feel like any of it is like really greedy. And the thing is that those systems have like Rocket League the game is now totally different from when it launched. Like they've added so much, you can see where the money from the microtransactions is going. They added like 3 game modes, and now they're doing seasonal maps, and they're doing like a lot of stuff that's free. So like I don't know. I feel like I'm okay with that if it's done right.
So the thing there though is that I have a problem with the fact that the base game costs money.
Mm-hmm.
So if the base game costs money, charge however if the game. Honestly, I think Rocket League programming wise, it's not a huge studio. They're not wasting a ton of money on making it, so $30 is fine for the game.
Right.
But that should allow you to get everything that you need within the game without having to paying microtransactions. I don't care if they feel fair or not. Like it's still kind of an irritating thing, and it is cool that you see that money going into a lot of free content upgrades. I do appreciate that they are doing free content upgrades. There's nothing worse than buying loot crates in a game and then having to pay for an expansion. Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Warframe. I mean, I have to say, like, this is gonna be. I was gonna mention it on my list of upcoming games, even though it already came out. But it's something that I'm excited to play. Is the Plains of Eidolon in Warframe? That's a new thing. It's like a brand new game. The game is completely different. It's a whole open world environment. It's crazy big. There's social. There's a huge social hub that's new now. It's much more RPG esque. They did a graphics overhaul like a couple of months before they released Plains of Eidolon. They constantly release new frames. I mean, like the money going into it. There was a funny quote. I can't remember who did the interview. It might have been Kotaku, where they asked the creators of Warframe, so how does it feel to have made Destiny but good?
That's cool. That's a fun question.
And it's funny because it came out before Destiny.
Yeah.
Destiny took a lot from that game.
I do, however, feel that like if you are making a game as a game as a service, right? A game that's supposed to theoretically live forever. that is not sustainable if it's not free just based off of it. Like you're gonna run out of money eventually. Like you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, they want you to, and that doesn't make any sense either. Like they want you to just buy that one game and constantly buy things for that game. It's like, so you want me to buy, so EA, you want me to buy Battlefront 2 and constantly sink money into that. So what happens when Battlefield 5 next? I guess Battlefield 5 would be next.
Right. Or I mean,
or if they go
Battlefront 3.
if they go Battlefield. Well, no, you follow the same game.
Right.
You'll always go in the series and you'll buy the new one. But I'm saying like other EA franchises that are around it. So whatever the new Battlefield will be, whether it's whatever time period it's in. But you want me to keep playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 by locking me into this games as a service bullshit, even though we'll talk about that in a second. But you also want me to buy your other games and use those games as a service.
And that's what I like about
it's not sustainable.
They've said in interviews like there's never going to be a Rocket League 2 because that wouldn't be fair to the players.
No.
They've said like we're just going to keep doing like seasonal arenas, free updates, all this crazy stuff.
Yep, that's what Warframe does.
Yeah, and like it's great. And
I got to say I've sunk the 2 games I've sunk the most money in my life on are World of Warcraft and Warframe. And I didn't play Warframe for that long. I only played it for a couple months, but I was very willing to sink that money into it because I could see that I didn't have to pay a dime for this game. There is a lot of cool stuff that I want to unlock, and I don't want to wait. and I just, was like, and could see, hey, we're doing an update in like a month that's gonna overhaul the entire graphics of one whole planet and the lighting for everything. And I was like, oh well, hey, I'll help fund that because you guys are doing it. They're consistently upgrading the graphics as they go along. It's a whole keep your game. If that is a game as a service, you don't have sequels and you don't have fucking add-ons that you have to pay for.
Totally.
That's I think what we're getting at with the Destiny 2 stuff.
Yeah, it's that argument of like if you see that what you're getting for your microtransactions beyond the loot is all these free updates and like all this content, and the developers are honest with you and they treat the money that you give them with respect, I feel like then, that makes it okay. And like, sure, you could have a world where Warframe was $30 and didn't have any chests, but they probably wouldn't be able to do like a lot of the cool overhauls that have happened.
But like Warframe doesn't even have the bullshit loot chests.
Right.
Because it's not random chance.
It just has a straight up store.
Just straight up store.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's the one thing that I would say Rocket League does need is more options for a straight up store. Because those are limited. Anyway, we should move on. We spent a lot of
so that basically almost covered everything.
I guess our topic of the show is part of the stories now.
That covered most of the two ones that we were going to do here, because we were also going to talk about Battlefront.
Let's talk about Battlefront.
Yeah. Now we do have a quote from an article by GameSpot in here, but I do want to point out that PSU is now reporting that microtransactions may not return after all to Battlefront 2. So DICE and EA, after getting their shit handed to them and losing billions of dollars in stock prices and having Disney get all pissy and saying, hey, if you don't cut the shit, we might take your license for Star Wars away. They I don't know, like they finally were like, yeah, we can't do it. But here's the kicker, though, is EA is still doing it in other games like UFC and all their sports games. They're trying to get away with the same crap.
FIFA has had this problem for forever.
It has. Like, the UFC right now is worse because there's things you get from loot crates just to hit with a punch. Your punches are random rolls. So you have to have an upgrade to your punch from a loot box.
What's funny is like I'm trying to think of a joke that'd be like, well, the next thing you know, this and this will be behind a loot crate, but I can't come up with anything worse. Yeah, but like I almost wanted to be like, next thing you know, haircuts will be. Oh wait, they did that. Yeah. Next thing you know, like a punch. Oh, they did that.
No, because that's literally this is literally pay to win. It's literally pay to win. I mean, you obviously can't buy the epic punching off the bat, but you can pay more for more crates to get it faster. Wow. And like the thing too is, could you imagine if that kind of thing was in Street Fighter or Super Smash Brothers? Like, what if Nintendo pulled that shit with Super Smash Brothers?
Yeah,
people would be crazy that you had a random roll on your punch and you could buy something. You have to buy an amiibo to make it better. Oh, come on.
Yeah. You buy an amiibo with a fist.
Yeah, like you buy the fist amiibo to upgrade your punch.
And like they could have done it. They could have done it with arms. They could have done it with like Mario Kart. Like they could have done the new Mario has hats and outfits.
Yeah, and they still don't even have loot like microtransactions in it.
Yep.
They're just in the game where you can earn them by playing. They have
multiple currencies in the game and none of it is purchasable.
Yeah, it's like what a concept that when you buy a full priced game that you get everything that is in that game. Because I just want to point this out to everybody who doesn't understand this yet. Loot crates, all of that stuff is technically in the game you bought already. You are paying more to access stuff that is in something you bought already. It costs them nothing to do the loot boxes because they're not tangible items. They are all code.
It's like when people found out that DLC was already on the disc
Horse
just
armor.
waiting to get unlocked. Yeah,
horse
that's-
armor for Bethesda.
Yeah,
for
terrible. We
Oblivion.
should actually read though the changes that Dice has made. So basically, Dice has bumped all the credits that you earn in game. They've also increased the cap on how many credits you can earn in arcade mode every day, which is crazy that there's a
moved it
limit.
up to 1,500. Yeah, that's weird that there's a limit.
Because that seems like the most dedicated players would be the ones who are grinding it out.
Well, there's
and you're
also
punishing them for being fans of your game.
Yeah, there's also already an issue because the way it works is like, and it says earlier in the article, quote, a common complaint among fans has been that the game is too slow due to the way they dole out credits, and that your performance factors in very little, leading some players to find ways to idle in game by running circles to rack up rewards. So basically, they reward you for how long you spend in a match. So it's not about really, I mean, there's a minor amount of how well you do, but like really the majority of your credits come from how long you spent in a match. So there's no incentive to complete a match and do well and complete it quickly. You want to try and drag it out to get the most credits. And that doesn't make much sense. So like even the top tier player will make nearly the same amount of credits as the person who came last on the losing team. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, there's just a lot of really confusing and conflicting methodologies that this game uses. There's like this whole idea that you want Battlefront 2 to be casual, pop in, play for a bit, pop out, because it punishes you for repeating things. Destiny does too, reducing the XP you get to earn bright engrams.
Fixing that.
And at the same time, the grinding required to unlock stuff are so high that you have to grind to unlock stuff, but you can't grind. That's not how they want you to play. So like, I don't understand.
Yeah, and this is the thing too. It's like you want to keep players, so you're limiting them to how much they can earn a day, which is kind of the opposite of Destiny in terms of like actual gear. The Eververse loot box level stuff, that's what the cap was on, but like you can get as much gear, but they both of those games have this stupid like we are gonna limit the player per day what they can do to keep them coming back, and you're like, well,
that doesn't make any sense though.
Yeah, like first off, doesn't it cost you more money to constantly have to keep your servers open? Like,
yeah,
how is the money from the microtransaction? Like, does that pay enough? I mean, like, are you really making? Of course, they're making way more than enough to offset the costs of like maintenance and patching, but you notice the only reason they do that is because the patches for both of these games have been so lazy so far. And I can understand kind of how Battlefront 2 is going a little slower because it's, like they designed the multiplayer to be based on microtransactions. Right. So they have to rework the whole thing. But at the same time, it's too little too late.
I don't understand how and whoever greenlit this system looked at the playtester complaints, which there must have been a lot of, and said, nah, it'll be fine. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. This is, like, EA especially should be able to foresee player anger, because they've dealt with it on so many occasions.
They don't care.
I know, but there is a ceiling, again, on what you can do and get away with. I mean, I guess...
after the company was voted the worst company in the world a second time in a row, they came out and stated, oh yeah, we're going to change and be more attuned to what the players want and stuff like that. You look at that. Look at Activision's new patent for the loot box stuff. I mean, it's just...
Just play some indie games and buy a Switch, man.
Play Warframe.
Yeah. I actually have been meaning to try that.
Yeah, it's basically what it's exactly what Bungie tried to sell us that Destiny would be.
Right.
The
Is that it
story
was
is a
this
bit
ever
weak, but
evolving
yeah, the story's
thing.
a bit weak, but
Yeah.
this is Warframe. I mean, not to mention it definitely feels more like an MMO because you have more customization of what your gear
Right.
does and everything like that.
So let's talk about the government a little bit.
Oh, the government.
Because you can buy government glasses at no. because they seem there seems to be a lot of like state and country authorities being like, huh, what's happening over here? Should we do something? Belgium has stated they're looking into it. Hawaii has stated Hawaii is actually already working on legislation against this. There's talks of loot boxes as a concept being banned in the EU.
I think they were already banned in one country in particular. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
I know that China was one of the first to start regulating them.
Well, they wanted to see the drop rates.
Yeah, I think that's
Overwatch.
That's fair.
Then
they have to label it on the scratch cards for lottery. They should have to do it for freaking. It's gambling. It is gambling. I don't care what people say. It is gambling.
Totally. I think like to me it's gambling mainly because again the value of what you get out of a loot crate most of the time is so low that it might as well be nothing. A voice line or a victory pose for a character you either don't have or don't care about.
But also again, it's not a tangible thing. So like it literally costs them whatever it costs them to program it the first time they did it, and they just roll it out over and over and over again. That's all.
Totally.
So I mean, since it's not a tangible item, how can you weigh the value of it?
What kind of regulations do you think would be beneficial for this?
I think that anything with loot boxes should be in games that are rated M for mature so that children can't play them.
Right. I think just like on the back of the box you have stickers, how many players can play this, how much online connectivity is there. There should be business model, and there should be a sticker that says microtransactions, and there should be a separate sticker that says loot boxes, and there should be a separate sticker that says both. Both ones should be like bright red.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it should be well aware. Players should be well aware of what they're getting.
I think Metacritic is planning to do that to show business models, but don't quote me on that. Hey, if we're wrong about anything, you have the comments sections. Just please try not to yell at us. We try.
Yeah, we try.
We try.
It says, you wanted to say, do we need the government for this crisis?
I think we do need it.
I know
I'm just worried about, just sorry to quickly to clarify.
No,
I'm worried that the disconnect between the information that we as gamers who have our hand to the pulse of the industry and the information that government officials know is going to cause some wacky regulations that aren't going to make any sense or potentially could make it worse for everybody.
Oh, so here's how I look at it like this. Okay, so back in the 90s, I remember when the ESRB was created. Not necessarily from like firsthand accounts as being a huge gamer at that time, but I do remember suddenly seeing ESRB ratings on games out of nowhere. I wasn't aware of the controversy though. However, that came from, the government going, if you don't take care of this as an industry, we are going to censor for you. We are going to be your censors. And the industry was like, well,
they got scared.
Yeah, they were like, fuck that. We need to do this. Is different. This is gambling. This is children. Gambling is regulated by the government. It's not an industry regulated thing. I mean, even casinos get, inspected by the government or an agency contracted by the government to make sure that it's all fair and regulated. Because, rigging systems is just the way, the lay of the land. Loot boxes, they could literally put whatever the hell they want with whatever the hell drop rates they want in those things. It's just like...
Right. I think one of the most helpful. I think the approach of informing the consumer is really great. And I think in that vein, I think one of the most helpful things would be if games were forced to, when you go into their store, show a lifetime counter of how much you spent on the game.
I agree with that.
I think if
Although I kind of don't want to know how much I've spent on Warframe.
right, but I think
But it would be good.
I think that will give you that moment of like you've bought a couple too many video games this month and you're looking at your bank statement going, oh shit. I think
Was this game really worth $1,500?
Yeah,
You know what I mean, over a 3-month period, spending
Right.
$1,500 on a game, really?
Totally.
You know, is that worth it?
I think and I think like if you were told, or even something like in 2017 you've spent $100 on microtransactions in Rocket League.
Yeah, I don't
And
think
then
it needs to be an extremely detailed breakdown,
Yeah,
but
and-
like maybe a yearly or monthly.
Yeah. I think yearly would be great, because then I'd be like, I could treat it like, okay, if I was subscribed to WoW, or if I bought a game, or how many games worth did I pour in, like you could weigh the value of money spent easily over the amount of time and enjoyment and whatnot in the game, and you could even see things like, well, I didn't really need to buy this many cars. I should back off. I think that's a good first step.
I think that I mean, and this even gets to the point of like console owners, because most of these transactions go through like PlayStation Networks, you know, like PlayStation Store, or
Totally.
you know, the Microsoft Xbox Marketplace, and I honestly think you should be allowed to, for any one specific game or another, set a monthly spending limit. So, because like you're not paying attention to
Right.
it unless you're writing down every single transaction that you're microtransaction making, you know what I mean? Like you keeping track of that number is a bit difficult, especially with the way Sony runs their store.
Right. So what I suggest, there's a website. It's called privacy.com, I believe. The logo is like a red little box. I've been using that because what they do is basically you just plug in your card information and they can use that to create basically like virtual debit cards. And so you can create a virtual debit card, say, hey, if this card gets charged more than this amount in a month, then just decline it. And so I just created a video game card and put that card into my PSN and into my Steam. So if I spend more than, say, $60 a month on video games through online transactions, obviously this doesn't count if I go physically, then it will just decline it and it will tell me transaction failed.
I mean,
It's a third party website, but it's a good way to monitor your spending. I just feel like if Steam and PSN and Microsoft came together and on the store page or whenever you were able to check how much money you spent on microtransactions in the lifetime of the game or in this year or whatever,
yeah.
I think that'd be great. Have a number of how much money I've given to that freaking orc with his hands rubbing together.
Oh God.
And give me the option to press a button so that Talion can grab a sign with that number on it and smack him in the face with it. That'd be so satisfying.
Yeah. I mean, like people like me who keep a budget, you know, can keep track of their
Right.
spending a little bit easier. But it's
Yeah.
it's but honestly for me too. Like when I was really spending money in Warframe, I had a difficult time, you know, remembering and calculating all of that spending when I had to
Totally.
go do my budget. It's
Right. And like for me too, I tend to be an impulsive person.
oh
So if there's an evening where I'm like, fuck, I really want this, like it'll be very hard for me not to get it. So if I try to purchase it and my card gets declined, then that gives me an out, because then I can say to myself, oh, I've reached the monthly limit. Hey, listen, if I really want it, I can just buy it next month. That gives me an out and stops me from thinking about how much I fucking want it.
yeah.
So It's just like, man, if video game companies want to take care of their players, this would be really nice.
Yeah.
And it's also like a small thing, but I get it. They want to make the most money they can. I feel like we can be a little nicer to one another in the industry, but maybe in 2017 that's too much optimism.
It's been a hell of a year.
Yeah.
Like Mass Effect breaking my fucking heart. Oh my god. So we're almost at an hour mark here.
Totally. So let's go with our last little question is
the games looking forward to
future predictions. With a little asterisk next to it is this is predictions. We don't know what's gonna happen. If you want accurate predictions, again, go to Jim Sterling.
Yeah, he's good.
He's
But
good.
what about? Are we gonna still do the releases?
Let's do it. Let's do it really quickly right after this last question.
Okay.
So, I think that we've really hit a boiling point this year with microtransactions, and I think, weirdly enough, what it took was to have the most downvoted thing on Reddit. That's what it took, because that's when mainstream media was like, "Hey, look at this," and that's when everybody was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
So I think this is a good cautionary tale for future developers. I think we'll be here again with EA, because that's always going to be true. I think we'll be here again with Activision, but I think my ray of sunshine in the future is first party development from Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo, because they make their money through console sales.
Hey, you know what amazing game that had loot crate like things in them that had no money required outside of it after you bought it?
Which one?
Horizon Zero Dawn, which is one of the best games I've played in a very, very, very long time.
I'm so
I
excited.
platinumed the shit out of that game because it is so good.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
I'm still working on my way to beating it. I'm like in the last sections. The DLC came out, I think.
Did it?
Yeah.
I gotta
Frozen Wilds.
go borrow my friend's copy and play the DLC.
Yeah, I think it came out, and there's also now like a special edition where you get the base game and the DLC in one thing.
The Game of the Year edition, kind of thing.
Not yet.
It is. It should.
I hope so though. I mean, man, what they did with that game is so special.
I just want to give a shout out to Ashley Birch.
Yeah.
She is one of the
Phenomenal.
funniest ladies I've ever seen, but also like an amazing voice actress.
Yeah, a lot of range there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think things are gonna calm down in 2018, and then the next trend is gonna kick in. That's monetary stuff, whatever that is, and then we're gonna be here again. And I know that's vague and that's an easy prediction.
Yeah. This isn't over. We need to my big thing is that like this may feel like a victory, and it may seem like all this loot box stuff is getting beaten to the ground in terms of like you're getting hit in the face with all these stories about it every day. But at the same time, if we let up and we don't stop bugging them, this will just get swept under the carpet again. And we'll have this problem again.
Yeah. Listen, as long as people vote with their wallets,
please.
I canceled my Battlefront 2 pre-order. That sends a clear message. It says,
"Don't
hey,
pre-order." Period.
You could have had me. Well, I'm on the Best Buy Gamers Club Unlocked thingy.
No, I'm sure, but like it's
so it's cheaper, and I pre-ordered it way before any of this stuff was out, and I was just really pumped for the story mode. That's why I wanted to buy that game. I was
which I hear is only like 2 to 4 hours.
Yes, and it's also bad because, like, from the reviews I've seen, there's like a clear like all of a sudden you play as Luke. And it's like, what? Why am I playing as Luke? And it clearly feels like an executive was like, well, they can't have a story mode without Luke. Put a mission as Luke in. And then developers were like, what? Okay.
Or they were trying to give you the heroes that were going to be in
Right.
multiplayer so that you'd want to buy them more when you get some multiplayer.
The whole story mode is just multiplayer maps.
That's lazy as hell.
It's bad.
All right.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the thing that sucks is like the promise of the story mode was that you're gonna play as the Empire and be the bad guy, and then apparently that's true for like just a little bit in the beginning, and then immediately it's like, oh no, and then she turns good, and it's like,
EA.
why do you do this to me?
EA destroyed Mass Effect earlier this year. It's my favorite game franchise.
I'm worried about BioWare, man.
BioWare's already gone. I don't know, like the doctors left a while back. It's all they basically what EA has done is when they bought BioWare, they just infused them into EA as in their company, and they are now just their RPG division.
So since we're talking about predictions, you think BioWare is next on the chopping block?
No, I think BioWare is going to stay around because the name recognition is okay.
Right.
It depends on how well they do with Anthem.
Yeah. If Anthem fails, they might.
They really need to.
They might go.
Yeah, they might get axed. They might just be turned into like EA RPG.
Yeah.
Which is a damn shame because BioWare's made some of the best games ever made. So.
Although I feel like Anthem is gonna come out post all this backlash, so EA is gonna try to be like, no, we're the good guys again.
Yeah, I hope they. What I really want EA to do, and hey, if anybody who works for EA is listening, which I doubt they will, but if you are,
they're not listening this far, I'll tell you that. It's just an hour of us being like, God, you suck.
Let the developers make a fucking game. Stop interrupting them, stop telling them what the fuck to do, and stop dictating every aspect of how they make their games, because you are destroying the industry and the art. It is becoming a paint-by-numbers bullshit game now, and I'm getting tired of it.
And, like, I get it. You have to make money.
No, I get it.
I think...
How much? How much money do you fucking need?
Right. I think, like, with Visceral and their game, like...
Oh, no.
I understand that the whole thing was, like, that game was gonna be probably incredibly expensive.
Yeah, but it was still going to be amazing.
Right. It was probably going to be amazing.
They already killed Star Wars. What was the
2017 something?
Yeah. The Boba, the rumored Boba Fett prequel thing.
Totally.
But I don't think it was in the end. It was 23 or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Somebody in the comments is yelling it up already. But as much as these systems are souring AAA development, this is still one of the best year as far as quality games coming out that I can remember. So
it is true. Some great.
I don't care. Do whatever you want, EA. If you make a bad game, I'm just not going to buy it. It's as simple as that.
What was the game that came out recently by, was it Ninja Theory?
Hellblade.
Hellblade. Yeah, like that game. I haven't played it, but I've watched a couple of things of footage. I've looked into reviews. I've read about it. It looks amazing. How much is it? $30 because the company said, we're going to charge you what the game is actually worth for the player.
And they've already made their money back.
Yeah, and I think honestly like that game is, I would pay $60 for that game.
Right.
Straight up. I know it's indie. I mean like indie because they self-published it as far as I know.
Right. It's a beautiful game.
God.
And it's one amount of money. Like definitely for linear and story games and single player games, loot boxes are a bad idea.
Yeah, like why the hell did they put loot boxes in Shadow of War?
Because it's WB. Man, this has just become a roast fest of developers.
It is, or publishers. I'm still okay with the developers. I just want the developers to be able to make the games they want to make, and right now they are not. If you love video games, you need to stand up against the publishers and tell them to stop fucking with your developers because they fucked with Bungie and they made Destiny 1 into the mess that it was. Right. Because Destiny 1 was going to be great, I'm pretty sure, because they've done a lot of data mining. There's a lot of post-fact thing. Yeah. But God, like it's just constant with these people. They just don't back
Right.
down.
Closing thoughts on loot boxes then.
Fuck them.
That's
That's my closing thought. I'm
fuck
done with
them. Just give me a store, god damn it.
Give me
I'll
a
spend
store.
money on you even if you're not free. If you just let me buy the thing that I want.
You want to know what I want? A good game with a good story.
Man.
Can I just have that?
Yeah.
I mean, I had it with Horizon, but please just make them.
I'm gonna end with this. Thank God for Naughty Dog.
As Jim Sterling would say, thank God for me.
100%.
You want to run down real quick here?
Yeah. So you went through some releases for next week.
Yeah.
And picked out a couple things that we should be looking out for.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't have to pre-order anything. It's not a thing that you should be worried about.
I don't pre-order.
We don't worry about it. We just things that look interesting.
I used to work at GameStop. I will never pre-order a damn game again.
I pre-ordered very, very rarely. If I'm like certain that even if this game is mediocre, I will love it, I pre-order.
You want to know something? The last game that I pre-ordered was, well, that's not true because I pre-ordered Stick of the Fractured But Whole because it came with Stick of Truth. Later, I found out that they were just going to give that away with every single fucking copy, regardless of pre-order. But anyways, the last game truly that I pre-ordered because I wanted to pre-order the game and not for some other gimmick was Mass Effect Andromeda. I was looking forward to Mass Effect Andromeda so much. It was the only game series I was ever going to pre-order ever again and get the collector's editions of too. Fuck that. I'm never pre-ordering a goddamn game again.
Yeah, I pre-ordered Dark Souls 3. I was very happy with that because it came with a disc of the soundtrack.
See, that's worth it. Like a tangible item. GameStop, I mean, pre-orders used to come with cool shit. Now it's just like little costumes and skins and games that don't matter. Like, just shut up.
Everybody, can you just please turn into CD Projekt Red?
Yeah, please. We gotta run down these games real quick because we're way over. Hold on, now we're about
Yeah, we're way over.
So, what games were you thinking of this week?
I didn't really honestly get a chance to look at the releases because I was at 3 a.m. putting the stories together. Well, so I'll just let you take it over if that's okay.
So this week or next week I should say, there's really not that much coming out.
Right.
But there are a few things that caught my eye. We've got PUBG for Xbox One coming out. I'm personally not an Xbox owner, but I am very excited for Xbox owners to get their hands on this thing because it's a phenomenon. It really is.
Right.
I can't wait till it comes. This didn't come out this week. It came out a little while ago, but I want to try and push it again. You've got Plains of Eidolon expansion just came out for Warframe. It's a free game. Download it. Enjoy the Plains of Eidolon. There's no risk.
I might
in
actually
doing this.
do that tonight.
Yeah, do it on PS4 so we can play. I can hook you up with some stuff because I logged in and I found that I had a lot of platinum, which is the currency you have to pay for.
Nice.
Still, yeah, because I never spent it, I guess. So I'm also looking at Resident Evil 7 Gold. So that's Resident Evil 7 with all of the DLCs. Another like Game of the Year edition type of thing, which is generally how I think I'm going to buy games in the future. I'm going to just wait and see the reviews, and then wait for the Game of the Year or the collectors or not the collectors, the compilation discs. That have all of the shit on them, so I don't have to spend more money.
I wish I had the mental fortitude to do that.
We have Fallout 4 VR, which I know very little about, but I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes, regardless of whether it's good or bad. I'm very interested to see how it goes because Bethesda's got a little bit more to prove. I think they did a great job with Wolfenstein and Doom, though. Like, oh my God, Doom was great. Anyways, I got off track. And the final one that I'm actually excited about is another Okami remaster.
Wait, which one is it? Which one is Okami?
It's the dog. It's in cell shaded, drawn like animation. I'll bring up an image. New games, newest releases.
What's that?
Right there, Okami.
Huh.
Okami was a fantastic game. They already released I can't even really call it a remaster or an upres or anything because it was released on the Wii.
I'm not aware of this game, so
Yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm excited
cool.
to see that it's coming to, I believe, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC.
I believe Ubisoft is doing a thing where they're giving away some games for free on their Ubi store thingy on PC. I believe one of those is Black Flag. You can just get it. If I'm wrong on that, I'm sorry. Just go look up the Ubi store thing.
Again, it's not going to hurt you to look at it.
Yeah,
regardless.
just Google it, you know?
Yep.
Anyway, for me, my pick would definitely be Warframe. I'm going to check it out tonight.
Yes, please. Yeah, it's very good.
And then Fallout for VR, if you have VR, seems really cool.
Yep.
People have been saying good things about the Skyrim one, I think.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm actually surprised that like PlayStation VR. This one's coming out for PC though, but I'm surprised that PlayStation VR has been one of the more successful VR systems over Oculus or Vive.
I think it's just
it's because it's so easy to plug and play. The cost entry is so low compared to the other two systems.
I think it's cost and then Resident Evil 7. Those are the two things.
Yep. Resident Evil 7.
Anyway, we need to
wrap
close out.
Yep. Take it away.
So, sign off stuff.
Oh, cool. I gotta give you my Twitter account, I guess. I don't really use it, so it doesn't matter. But
listen, if you look at my Twitter, all of this is just me tweeting at Dan Harmon, "You're a genius" over and over.
Oh yeah, your man crush.
Yeah. No, a lot of my Twitter is just like me tweeting at random people saying, "Hey, I watched your stuff. It's really good. Good job." And then just like a freaking whatever they're called, like the Western ball of thing tumbles over, tumbleweed crosses the frame. Nobody there. It's just sand everywhere. Anyway,
you can check out my YouTube channel. I have very little on there, but what I have is pretty funny, I guess.
Well, and where can they find that?
I don't know the actual URL, but it's individual KLIME.
That's awesome. My Twitter is at the Vanilla Chris.
The Vanilla Chris.
Yeah, because I'm boring.
Ice, baby.
What's your Twitter?
It's again individual KLIME, individual climb, but yeah.
Oh, that's cool. It like has an artsy feel to it. Like
it's inspired by Ghost in the Shell standalone complex second gig for individual 11, and climb was my my handle in World of Warcraft and EverQuest.
I feel like going to your Twitter, I would need to have like a glass of wine in my
There's
hand.
A lot of politics there. It's all politics. I'm a very angry person when it comes to politics.
Right.
So.
No. All of his views are not representative of the show.
No, they're not representative. My political views are separate from the show, so don't take them like. It's kind of like how Colin from Kind of Funny. Yeah,
totally.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been Button Mashers, the podcast where we nerd out about video games, or like shit talk for an hour and 15 minutes,
sure,
depending on our mood. It's a bad mood week about loot boxes.
But I thought it was a good mood because the conversation went pretty well.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I think we had a fun show. You can find us on SoundCloud, Button Mashers, on iTunes, Button Mashers, and all your podcasting services and whatnot. You can find us on YouTube if you type in Game of Dorks. There's the link doesn't work because YouTube has a thing where you need a certain amount of subscribers to be able to get a custom link, which doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
Facebook kind of has the same thing, but it's only like 25.
Yeah, YouTube raised it to like 100, and
that's ridiculous.
We're just under. We have like 76. And
how are you supposed to get more people to your website if you can't like directly tell them the URL to it?
Well, I think the thing is that we renamed the channel.
Oh, okay.
And then they were like, "Oh, to change a link, you need to change your URL. You need to be a fancy channel." And I was like, it doesn't do anything if you just change the letters in after the slash. Whatever.
It doesn't matter.
If you just type in Game of Dorks,
Game of
3
Dorks.
words,
Yep.
will come up. It's like a red and black design thingy.
You can flash the design of it on the screen right now. Actually, see right here.
If I
I'm putting it over your head.
if I feel like doing that,
You can do that. It's easy. Just do it.
All right, I'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll get on Premiere and do it for you.
God, I don't want to hear you be like fucking Premiere. I hate it.
Give me Final Cut.
Yeah.
Give it back to me.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for listening or watching, however you enjoy this show. I really appreciate it. And if you stuck it out this far, I'm gonna give you 3 claps.
I'll give you 2.
Because you're a brave soul that has stuck it out for 1 hour and 17 minutes roughly.
Holy shit. I hope
so-
you edit this down for time.
Huh?
You could probably edit this down to be like 45 minutes or so.
Oh no, this is all going up in one block. I'm just gonna edit.
Style.
I'm just gonna edit out the beginning and the ending.
This is gonna be edited out. What we're saying right now, huh? Because this is not consequential.
Oh no.
Oh okay. Well,
Oh, this is
goodbye
standard.
everybody.
See you next week.
Have a
Bye.
good one.